Assalamualaikum and good morning, fellow teachers and educators. On this fine day, I, Siti Saleha binti Jirin, and my partner, Liana Ejisani, will present our paper on Mobile Game-Based Learning (MGBL) for ESL learners, underlying theories, positive impacts, and challenges. There are six authors who have contributed to this paper, and you can see them on this slide. The key topics that will be discussed in this presentation are the introduction, the underlying theories, the positive impacts, the challenges in implementation, discussion, and conclusion. Fellow educators, do you still remember what happened 2 years ago in 2020? It was actually the start of the COVID 19 pandemic. The early beginning of the 2020s marked its emergence, with the digitalization of our global education becoming more prominent and relevant than ever. The situation during lockdown caused by the monstrosity of the COVID-19 pandemic had opened a wide door of opportunity for the full utilization of e-learning. The proliferation of global technology during the pandemic paved the way for mobile-assisted language learning (MAL) and computer-assisted language learning (CAL) to expand and claim their strongholds in the education system. Though CAL and MAL are both imminent in our education landscape, it cannot be denied that the latter is more popular, a fact attributed to its accessibility, transportability, and mobility. One of the approaches which has benefited from MAL is game-based learning (GBL), and the combination of these two approaches has brought a new, unique, and interesting approach (MGBL). Now, you may wonder, what is MGBL? It sounds interesting, doesn't it? MGPL is actually a teaching and learning method that offers the opportunities for us to move our teaching outside of the traditional classroom. Apart from that, MGPL is believed to be a stepping stone in the era of shifting to digital, which in turn will bring a revolution to the education landscape. However, sadly, despite MGBL becoming more prominent and prevalent, a lot of English teachers are yet to be accepting of MGBL, as they think of MGBL as something without any instructional value. Why do you think they feel this way? This is due to their limited knowledge of what MGBL comprises of and what it can bring to the table in the context of education. Therefore, in this paper, we will shed light on the theories underpinning MGBL, along with its benefits and challenges in implementation. There are two theories incorporated in MGBL: the constructivism theory and the behaviorism theory. They sound familiar, don't they? They are among the theories that have become the pillars for our teaching methods and approaches. First of all, MGBL is a learning approach that requires our students to be actively engaged and involved in the learning process. They have to use their problem-solving skills to complete a task or mission given. This feature of the approach fits the narrative for constructivism theory by Piaget. The constructivism theory in MGPL also promotes student-centered learning, which supports our students to construct their own knowledge by experiencing real-life objects and reflecting on those experiences. Additionally, the learning environment in MGPL that fosters collaboration and interaction between students in a rich learning experience also conforms to the social constructivist learning paradigm. When our students are collaborating with each other, They are actually in the zone of proximal development, where learning takes place. Collaborative learning encourages students to conduct their own discussion and construct their own knowledge by collaborating with each other. Other than that, the other theory in this approach that complements the constructivism theory well is the behaviorism theory. While constructivism focuses on the construction of meaning of knowledge, behaviorism, on the other hand, stresses on practice, reinforcement, and motivation as the driving force in the learning process. The feature in the mobile game application, which provides rewards and positive reinforcement in the games, contributes to the external motivation for learners to be engaged in learning. Even you would be motivated if you are promised a reward, won't you? Therefore, the nature of MGBL that combines the constructivism and behaviorism theories, which makes the approach fun, joyful, and competitive, motivates our students to be involved in a collaborative ambience. Just imagine how exciting it would be if we integrate MGPL activities in our classroom. As mentioned in the title of our paper, we are discussing the positive impacts of MGPL in ESL classroom. There have been various studies conducted to explore the positive impacts of MGPL in language learning. One of it is the implementation of MGPL in language classroom has resulted to the increase of learners' motivation to learn the targeted language. This statement has been supported by various studies which have been mentioned in this paper. It is proven in those studies that the implementation of MGPL has successfully lifted up the learner's motivation in learning the language. As an educator, wouldn't it be amazing if we can lift our students' motivation to learn the language by integrating MGPL? The other positive impact of MGPL is that it has great benefits in promoting engagement and enjoyment among learners. As we all know, everything that is related to games will surely be very engaging and enjoyable. While enjoying the games, the students will be engaged in the lesson as well. This makes the learning process go on without the students realizing it. Through games, they will as well get the knowledge. Many authors of past studies mentioned in this paper are all in agreement that MGPL helps tremendously in promoting engagement and enjoyment among learners in language learning. Next, the use of MGPL in language learning has positive impacts in mutual encouragement, decreasing the nervousness and embarrassment among language learners. Most second language learners will have the anxiety to speak the language as they have the fear of making mistakes. Try to remember when you first learn a foreign language. You must be nervous and anxious as well, right? Through the implementation of MGPL in language learning, the students' anxiety will be decreased. Even the weak students will have the confidence to speak the language without fearing to make mistakes. To conclude, based on the past research and studies mentioned in this paper, the implementation of MGPL in language learning surely promises positive impacts to the language learners.
Fellow educators, while recognizing the positive impacts of MGBL, we will be fair by presenting to you what are the potential challenges that might arise in implementing it. There are two challenges that are discussed in this paper: teachers' technological incompetency and the practicality aspects of MGBL. Firstly, teachers' readiness to implement MGBL is often related to their incompetency and pedagogical belief toward technology. It is crucial to note that one of the key factors contributing to the implementation is teachers' views and attitudes towards new teaching methods. Sadly, there are still some teachers who refuse to integrate mobile game-based learning into their teaching practices. These educators are viewing this method as irrelevant because games are often related to non-academic activities. In order to fully achieve MGBL benefits, teachers as a direct agent of its implementation must be open to accept this learning approach to broaden learning opportunities. Apart from teachers' incompetency, the practicality of MGBL in learning should be taken into account. One aspect of its practicality, as mentioned by Giannakas in their research, is personalization. They highlighted the importance of personalization as it enhances the effectiveness of MGBL implementation. The challenge would be designing MGBL applications that cater to each learner's educational background, experience, and inclination. To come up with personalized games, it requires the use of data mining to collect information of learners in order to meet the desired learning contents. Another practicality concern of MGBL is its inability to offer real-world language practices. It is important to keep in mind that language is learned as a means of communication. Some mobile games do not provide an environment that promotes interaction and communication among peers. It is debatable whether MGBL could offer true interaction and meaningful communication. It is believed that a language learning method should ensure that learners are able to give output as much as they receive input. Output from learners indicates their level of comprehension towards the English language. Language learning should be more than merely receiving inputs and answering direct questions as in a yes or a no. Fellow educators, as what has been explained earlier, it is distinctly demonstrated that mobile game-based learning, the MGBL, could bring benefits in enhancing ESL language learning. Essentially, the respective stakeholders and administrators in the school education field, mainly the Ministry of Education MOE, State Education Department, District Education Department and schools administration should optimize the function of digital experts in their units to provide training in and technical support to the teachers. This professional collaboration will later contribute to efficacy in learning and training process towards the application of MGBL in the classroom. It is significant for teachers to be fully trained in this in-service digital training so that we can ensure the pragmatic implementation of MGBL in teaching and learning process. Other than that, in supporting the teachers to practice MGBL, the stakeholders can provide a platform like Digital Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia (DELIMA) that offers all the services and applications required by teachers and students within the Malaysia school system. With this kind of platform being applied to practice MGBL, other teachers can reuse the MGBL teaching materials and adapt it to their classroom. This initiative would make it easier for the teachers to widely practice MGBL. Consequently, ESL teachers can integrate MGBL as one of the self-learning aspects in planning a flipped classroom activity. With this learning approach being applied, the classroom environment will indirectly transform from conventional ESL to fun and technology-integrated lessons. So what can we conclude from our paper? MGBL provides an escape to both ESL teachers and learners from the boring traditional teaching method. It is not only fun, interactive, and motivational, its feature also provides portable learning anytime and anywhere. Though the constraints in implementing MGBL can feel quite intimidating, the teachers need to be equipped with knowledge on the approach and take it as a challenge to conquer the MGBL domain. Efforts from all sides are paramount to make sure that MGBL is explored to its maximum potential in actualizing the aim to strive for lifelong learning. The COVID-19 pandemic has proven to the world of education that the utilization of technology is indeed feasible in all stages of education and organization. Digital education is now not just a daydream, but a future that falls in our hands as the stakeholders, administrators, and teachers. To secure that future, MGBL should be fully explored and utilized as one of the learning approaches that will pave its way to the top of digital education. Rapid progress in our educational landscape warrants more research and studies on MGBL so that it stays relevant to our education system. Almost all of the studies conducted by the researchers in this paper did not gauge on one of the most important components in MGBL implementation, which is teachers' digital competence. Future research should aim to measure teachers' digital competency, especially in MGBL implementation. It is very important to measure the digital competence of ESL teachers in Malaysia, as without digital literacy to use advanced digital games, teachers would fail to introduce games into the classroom. So I guess that's all from us. We really hope you learned something new. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email us. Thank you for your attention.